Alright, how's it going today, guys? So today we'll be doing a video lesson on support and resistance. Alright, so we'll be identifying what support and resistance is, how to use it effectively for trading, and we'll go over some real world scenarios. Alright, so first off we've got Bitcoin up here against the US dollar, and we'll throw it in Bitfinex. And as you can probably see, got a bit of market confusion here, and we'll identify why this is happening through support and resistance, and how to effectively time bottoms and tops of moves. All right, so first off, let's look at resistance. Resistance is the top of the current price action, and it's where the price could not push past. So for instance, the current resistance right now is around $11,450 up here where this top wick hit. Right, so that's resistance, meaning the price action had resistance and couldn't push past this. All right, now support is the exact opposite. It's where the price held and bounced off of. So for instance, we've got a support here at around the 880 mark. 8,800 mark. And so we can use these two tools to identify where price action might fall to, and where price action might go to. And so we can use that to effectively get into and out of trades with minimal risk. So now, first off, let's do that. That's a bit of a weird example right now because the market's going kind of crazy. So let's ignore this top bit here and let's focus on something more along the lines of down here. So let's look at this move here. Right, so we can see visually the resistance at this move. I mean, resistance can again be looked at tops of wicks or bodies of candles. Up to you. I kind of do both. I kind of see where market sentiment is and what the market's doing. So for instance here, I wouldn't necessarily say resistance is here because it was a slight touch with a wick. I'd probably say resistance is around this area here. And now resistance isn't a set price. All right, so I want you guys to understand it's not, for instance, like it's not an exact price level. Like right here, the resistance is not 7,911. All right, that's not the exact resistance. Meaning, as soon as we touch that, we're going down. You know what I mean? Like think of it as a range. All right, so personally, I'd place resistance around this area here. So around the 7,600 to like the 7,400 range. This is where I'd place my resistance because it's hit it once and it almost hits it again. Well, it kind of pushes past it, but we'll ignore that for now. And it kind of hits it again. All right, so I'd identify that as resistance right here. And then as looking at support, I'd look at before the move, where the price action was before the move, and we'd be looking down in this region here. All right, so this is kind of a support here. We'd have a small support here. A slightly bigger support here, and probably one of the biggest supports here because we've touched it once here and we've held here for a while. Again, we've touched there as well. Yeah, and so let's identify how we can use this to trade. So, for instance, we can see if we saw this run up, often previous resistance becomes new support. So for instance, here we could see this is an easy example. Here we can see a run-up, right? A run-up, kind of a cool down period, and then another run-up here, right? Now this just became an all-time high right here. And so now this is the new resistance. Okay, so now we're pulled back, cool off period, and notice down here is the exact same spot that we had a resistance, a previous resistance from this run-up. So this resistance here became the new support here. Right, so we've run up, we've held, meaning this is now support instead of resistance. We've had another run up, meaning this is now resistance, and this again it comes back and hits support right here. Right, now we've had a run up again, couldn't quite break this area here, so we pulled back. Then we had another run up and we held exactly where the previous resistance was, and we held here. Now again, same thing with the trend lines. This is where you'd want to be watching. All right, now if it broke down this resistance, we could see this sort of price action here. So if it couldn't hold this resistance, it would probably look exactly like this and pull back right back down to here. All right, but instead it broke this resistance with enough volume. So let's turn on, let me get volume up here for you guys so that we can see that how volume affects resistance. And here we can see that as soon as it's broke this resistance, we've got a massive, well, not massive, but relatively big increase in volume, which then pushes the price action up. All right, so now we can use this as this area down here, as support. So this would be a smaller support as it only held a couple times, and it's touched once back here. This would be a larger support as it's held multiple times here, and a lot of times here. And then this would also be a smaller support here as it's held here, and it's held a little bit here. All right, so now the next move, let's say we jumped in here with this massive increase in volume. We've jumped in here, and we've ridden it to the top. Right, we don't know where resistance is because this is an all-time high. So we're gonna keep holding. All right, we're gonna keep holding, and as soon as we can see it start to decline using our trend lines, we'd pull out. Now, once we've identified that this is the top, this becomes the new resistance. Okay, so now looking at where will it fall to, and no one can ever predict the bottom of a market, but you can get sure as hell close using support. So we've hit this top, right? So now that's the current resistance. It's also the current all-time high this wick here. So now we're heading back down, but we don't know where to get back in, right? That's always the question people ask. Where do we get back in? Well, where was the last support is often the question I ask back. And sure enough, the prior resistance, which was around here, which is a fairly strong resistance, is now the next so the prior resistance becomes the new support. So this being the prior this kind of region here being the prior resistance now becomes the new support. And sure enough, we can see it pulls back to here, and we've got a green wick here around this past resistance, which is along here. Now it bounces off this support, right? And can't quite keep on the uptrend now. So we fall back down and we hit this resistance, this prior resistance, which is now the new support, right? And as you can see, like I said, this is a strong support because it's hit it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and it's held multiple wicks each time. So here we can see that this is a strong support. It bounces off this support, and then again we're in the uptrend, right? So same kind of idea. So if you use this pair of support and resistance with your trend lines, it's an extremely extremely successful technical trading pattern, right? It's a simple pattern. It's very minimal risk, and it works quite well. So again, now let's keep moving on in the chart, keep moving forward. So we've identified this as previous resistance, right? We've pulled back down to the support, which is now here, and so now we're on the run up. All right, and we can see that when we get to this previous resistance here, we get a nice bit of volume come in here, which pushes it above that. And sure enough, it stops right here at this wick. Look at that. It's almost perfect right here at this wick. And it holds, right? Because now this previous resistance has become the new support. All right, and you literally just keep doing this until you find the next support. So this becomes and again, we've got a volume, like a crazy amount of volume here, pushing this slightly up. But again, we're still in the support range. Remember, it's a range, not an actual number. And then again, we get a nice big run up from BTC, and now we can see we've had a little bit of a pullback, not a pullback I'd say, but more of a calm down period here, a cool off. And so this has kind of become a short-term support, because we've shot up to here, and now we're come back, and now we're holding around this area in support. Sure, it's bounced below this, and I'll go over why it's done this in a future episode, but it is using Fibonacci retracement, which will be the next episode. But again, look, we're exactly at this support region right now. which used to be a resistance. Notice how the price couldn't push past here, barely push past here, so this would be considered the resistance at that time. Now we push past it with this sheer volume here, and we've pulled back, and now this previous resistance becomes support. Now we're holding right here. Now what BTC will do in the coming days, I'm not sure, but according to trend analysis, it's on a downtrend, but I don't believe it's crossed over in the, so if we do another trend here, I don't believe it's crossed over. You could draw. It hasn't crossed over fully. We haven't had a candle close below this trend line. So technically we are still in an upward trend, but we're also in a short-term downward trend. So what Bitcoin's doing in the future, I'm not sure, but definitely this is something to definitely keep your eye on. Now, I believe that's really about it we need to talk about for support resistance. One handy way of drawing it is using this horizontal line. So what I'll do is I'll switch to, let's say, a 1 hour, right? And this will give me a short-term resistance. And as you can see, there's a lot of support here. So I draw a line. Let's make that white. So that would be a resistance here for the 1 hour candle. So a fairly short-term resistance. Again, we had support here, so I draw another one around this area here, which the price action is currently at, and I draw this one a little thinner because it's a little more short term, because it only held here a while, whereas this one held here a long time, and then I draw a resistance up here, and I'd probably put a thicker resistance here and a thin resistance there. So now you can kind of get an idea what the price action's doing, so it's currently holding right here at this support. Now whether it will continue to hold here and bounce off, who knows, but I can sure enough tell you that if it does bounce off this, it will see a cooling off period around the 11,000 mark, and again around the 11,500 mark. And now once it pushes past that, so once it pushes past this, so let's say, let's give price action, so it pushes up to here, it'll hold here, right, like we said, then it'll probably push up a bit and hold there, like we said, and then I can tell you with confidence that once it pushes past this support right here, this resistance right here, this will become the new support. So once it pulls back down, it'll bounce off again here. And then you can look for re-entries for when it bounces off this one, like that. Alright, so that's how you can kind of tell where it's going to fall to, how far it'll fall, where to get in, where to get out, those kind of things. So I really hope this video lesson helped you guys. It's a pretty short one, but the next week, the next couple days one will be on Fibonacci retracement, which again is kind of like a support and resistance level, and it kind of shows you where the price action could fall to based on market volume, market sentiment, what traders believe, all this kind of stuff. So, extremely useful tool that I use daily. And so that's out for the next video. And again, if you guys have any questions or comments about support and resistance, please let me know. And I'm gladly to help out. Thank you guys for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.